no word is arguably more taboo in America than the N-word. It is so loaded and loathed that any journalist uses it at their peril. So when President Obama recently used the word in a radio interview, editors were in a quandary whether to quote the president verbatim or not. It's one thing to use it in print. Both the New York Times and the Washington Post quoted the president verbatim in stories about his interview with podcast host Marc Maron. The Post, however, blanked out part of the word in its headline. Meanwhile, television networks had a tougher decision. CBS handled it this way.
Mr. Obama speaks for himself in Major Garrett's report.
It's not just a matter of it not being polite to say nigger in public.
But when referencing the word later, Major Garrett used the shorthand N-word.
The White House said the president did not plan on using the N-word.
CNN both aired the president's words and put the word on screen unfiltered. Both ABC and NBC took a more cautious approach.
Out of sensitivity, NBC News has decided to bleep out the word.
Meanwhile, CNN's Don Lemon wanted to know why it's okay in music, especially rap, but not elsewhere.
You feel that in music, when it's artistry, you should be able to use it as well, right?
Well, I feel more from the aspect of everything is context and everything is how you're saying it.
More like, who says it? I mean, you can't get around the fact that who said this made it a much bigger story and arguably more quotable, because if somebody else had said it, it wouldn't have risen to this. You wouldn't have, not only would you not have quoted it, you probably wouldn't have mentioned it. I think the networks, though, I think they had to use it. I mean, I feel like CBS handled it properly, you know, putting it in the president's words. I mean, this idea that, you know, the networks are going to bleep out something that the president of the United States said. He didn't say it gratuitously. He was saying it to make a point about where we are in the world about racism. You know, if he had just dropped an F-bomb or something, I can see bleeping it out. But
that was actually what I found most infuriating about this coverage was not, I mean, I would say, I agree with you, print it, quote it, you know, have him saying it on air. But what drove me nuts was the omission of context. And the story became president uses N-word. Mm-hmm. And whether it's president uses N-word or president uses, and then the word is spelled out or spoken, the context is totally gone. He used it to make, as you said, a specific point. So the guy, I don't even know who Don Lemon was interviewing there, but
Trinidad.
I agree with him. Context is everything, and the coverage didn't provide crucial context.
Yeah. Well, some people are allowed to say it, and some people aren't.
That's
like
true,
George Bush could not have said it.
No.
Like if George Bush had said that, it probably would have been a much bigger story, because you're not allowed to say it.
That's right. Well, that's what I was saying about Trinidad. Trinidad can say it, but I can't.
Right, right. Yeah. So rules are rules. So I mean, I think that's worth acknowledging. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it should be pointed out that he wasn't using it as an accent that, like Trinidad would be, you know, accent in whatever his artistry is. He was using it to make the exact point that never got explained in context, which is the only time we want to have a conversation about race is if somebody throws this word and that it's bigger than this. Mm-hmm. That was his point, which nobody gets. The only thing they know was he used it. And by the way, I think that CBS probably on air handled it best. Mm-hmm. Major Garrett, N-word. President put it up there on the screen. Now, however, I will say that other news institutions that have a policy that they follow very strictly, you know, I wouldn't have bleeped it in that way, given, you know, the context and what was going on. I would have explained the context. But if their policy is this is what we do, then follow it, then okay. I'm not going to beat them up for it.
But at least explain why he was using
it. You must.
Right? I mean,
yes, yes.
Well, yeah, but it's the president. And quite frankly, if the president had dropped an F-bomb, I would quote him saying
probably,
that too.
Yeah.
This is the president of the United States. And you know, that would be a lot less defensible, but he'd be taking a lot of criticism for it, and he should be. In this particular case, he was making a point. There isn't a thing wrong with quoting him. I think we all agree that CBS did handle it in a very good way because we heard the president saying it, but if I'm Major Garrett standing on the White House lawn, I'm not going to say it, and he didn't. So I think that was the perfect way to handle it under those circumstances.
I mean, ABC and NBC didn't touch it at all. They didn't even.
Yeah.
No, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Washington Post went both ways.
Yeah,
They
they
used
did.
it, then another time they didn't use it. It
Right.
was, you know.
And on Morning Joe, they bleeped it, and Joe Scarborough was very unhappy about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, he was like, "What
Well,
is that
there
about?"
was a debate in this newsroom too. I wasn't part of it, but I know that there was, a bit of a debate about whether to use it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a report you do it, and as I said, I think
I used it once. I thought that was enough.
Right.
All right, just really quick, I know we got to wrap up. There are times also, if someone uses it in a totally different way than the president did, if someone uses it as a racial slur in a profoundly
Yes.
offensive way, you should, hear it or see it printed then too, because if you sanitize it, it takes away the sort of emotional heft of what occurred.